Hello, friends and family, and welcome to Author Affairs, where we uncover the story behind the stories. Now, there's been a lot of chatter concerning writing and the writing space, and when it comes specifically to AI used to write a book. And today, that's what we're diving into. Now, very recently, I've had some people speak to me about writing their own book, but here's the problem. They're not writers. They are professionals in industries and they're really good at what they do in the spaces that they occupy. However, they have absolutely no clue about where to start when it comes to writing a book. So they spoke to me. They wanted to know what it's like to use AI to write a book. And for full disclosure, I'm not so much a fan of using AI to write a book. Oftentimes I challenge people to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes out of their day to actually sit down and work on their story and write their story, rather than just to feed all the information and the statistics into AI and hope for the best. I should also note that I'm by no means giving any legal advice because I'm not a lawyer, but I also want to share a little bit when it comes to copyright and the legal side of using AI within the writing process. Because at the moment, we have a lot of information that is based on the US legal system as well as some European legal systems. However, I haven't heard anyone speaking specifically to the South African legal system and what we can and cannot do when it comes to writing using AI. So today I'm going to dive into a little bit of that. So when you're writing something, whether it's a book, a song, a play, a painting, or even a computer program, the copyright automatically belongs to you. So in South Africa, you do not actually need to register for a copyright with the CIPC because that's how the system works. Side note, for those who don't know, CIPC stands for Companies and Intellectual Properties Commission. Now, the only specific thing that you do have to register a copyright for with the CIPC is a film or video production. But when it comes to books, songs, and so forth, you don't have to register. And that's according to South African law. Because once the work becomes tangible, and this doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a physical copy, it can even be digital, such as computer programs and digital paintings or the first draft of a manuscript. But now the issue of not registering a copyright for your work is that someone could take your work and steal it and try to sell it as their own, right? I know. But here's one of the easiest tricks of the trade that you can use for timestamping. So what you do is, once you've written and you've finished writing your manuscript, you send the manuscript to yourself via email. So once you're done writing, you simply email it to yourself, and in that way, there's a timestamp showing that you actually worked on the project and that it belongs to you. So there's a timestamp in case of any legal situations or any legal cases that may arise in the future. If you're actually wondering what law exactly it is that protects your IP, it's the Copyright Act 98 of 1978, which states that when it comes to intellectual property and copyrighted content in South Africa specifically, you are protected as the author of the work. Traditionally, this requires that the work is original and that it has been reduced to material form, whether physical or digital. It's important to note that copyright protects the expression of the idea, not the idea itself. To give a little background as we get back into the issue of AI, when I was doing my honors degree in photography, my research was based on the integration of artificial intelligence in photography. So my practical elements consisted of photographic and AI composites. That's why I have a bit of understanding of the legal side of the creative world, which brings us to the part that many people try to argue against. So within the act, a provision is made when it comes to dealing with certain, quote, computer-generated works. So artificial intelligence or using AI platforms and models falls under computer-generated works. This is where things become a little more complicated because there needs to be evidence that you are the author of the work and that the AI platform or the AI model was used as a tool rather than being responsible for gathering the entire work independently. What does that mean? If you say, I have an idea, write it for me, then technically speaking, you ordered the work. So the idea and the work are two completely different conversations. But if you take your manuscript and throw it into AI and say, I need you to edit this for me, or I need you to provide developmental direction, then you are the author of the work, and the AI simply points out places that you can fix, adjustments that you need to make, and things that you can take out, as well as things that you can add to the story. However, you remain the original author of the work. That's where the line is drawn in the sand. And you have to keep that in mind whenever you are working with AI. That being said, you might hear some people saying that once you upload your work into an AI platform, it goes into the public domain and you can no longer have it protected by copyright. And as far as I know, that's not true at all. And it couldn't be further from the truth. You see, uploading your work into an AI platform doesn't automatically place it into the public domain, nor does it automatically remove your copyright. Like we discussed earlier, as soon as the work is tangible, the copyright is yours. Generally, AI platforms don't publish your chats or upload content online for the public to access. However, depending on the platform's terms of service and your privacy settings, your content may be used to train or improve the AI models. Now, here's what a lot of people don't realize. When you sign up for any AI platform, you essentially accept by default that they will use, not maybe, will use whatever you write in the chats, whatever you discuss, whatever you ask about, and whatever you upload to train the AI model. There is, however, a way to try to protect yourself from this. So what you do is you go into the settings of your AI model that you're using and you find the privacy tab. Within the privacy tab, what you'll find is an option that allows AI to train using your content. Turn that function off. And if that makes you feel a little bit better and a little bit safer, then that's probably the best option for you. But if you say, Dumo, I really don't care, they can use whatever I say to train the AI model, then ignore what I just said. It doesn't apply to you. Now, in terms of answering the question of whether the work is copyrightable, and I know there's obviously a lot of legal back and forth when it comes to AI and using AI to write at the moment, but the general consensus globally is that if you use AI to write the manuscript, then you have to disclose that. Even if it's 10%, 20%, 90%, or 100% of the manuscript, you have to disclose that to the publishing platform that you use if you're an independent publisher, or to your publishing house if you're going the traditional route. It doesn't matter which route you take. Everyone is hammering down on this at the moment. So if you're going the independent route, you still have to disclose it on the platform as you publish. And if you're going the traditional route, you have to let the publisher know, hey, I used AI to help me write this book. However, if you used AI to give you the general outline, so for example, you said, here's my idea, give me the structure. The AI model gave you the structure, and then you took the structure and you wrote and developed the entire story on your own, then you're a little bit on the safer side there, and you may not have to disclose that. If you use AI to help you edit or in the editing process, then you are once again a little bit safe on that side and you may not have to disclose that. However, if you are using AI to write entire paragraphs or chapters of work within your manuscript, then you have to disclose that, because the last thing you want is for your work to be run through an AI detection software, which will then bring your work back with a bunch of red and put you in a very sticky situation. and possibly even in a legal battle that you don't want to be in. So it's definitely something to think about very, very carefully when it comes to whether you should or should not use AI to help or assist you in the writing process. And I know it's tempting to use AI to help you write because the writing process is a very, very daunting task. I get it. And it can seem like the easy way out. It can seem like it's the quicker route to use AI, but you have to ask yourself, what are the implications and what's going to happen in the long run, especially on the legal side of things? Because it might take a couple of hours to write using AI, but in a couple of years, anything can happen. We're not 100% sure what direction the courts are going to take when it comes to AI generated content, and writing using AI. So we're still in a muddy middle type of situation right now. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer. So if you really want to be on the safer side and you really want to be a little bit more comfortable, then I would suggest that you speak to an intellectual property lawyer who's going to know a lot more and be able to assist you a lot more with understanding when it comes to the legal side of this industry. That being said, thank you so much for listening or for tuning in if you are watching on YouTube. And until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep writing. Stay blessed.